were making a mockery of me, but to me that's how much I saw the moderator and their position, and so it never occurred to me that one day will be a moderator. So I did not prepare for it, I did not plan for it, and I think it is the Lord's doing that it happened the way it happened.
I think it was not originally his intention to vie for moderatorship or for any of the high offices, but circumstances had to bring him into. I think the first thing is that he suffered a lot of blackmail, insults, and it was more a challenge. I could say he was pushed in, and all the insults and blackmail towards his persons were meant to deter someone who had not even declared his candidature. And when these things continued, he felt that he would give a try. So I would say that he was pushed into the race. And as we constantly discuss, he was always that it's not about me going to win. It's not about whether I win or not. I just want to answer the call of the people, and then sometimes answer my critics, because, as I say, he was pushed into the race.
And very, very tough. There was a lot of blackmail. Perhaps not by the candidates themselves, but by their supporters, by their respective supporters. By the time we left for Bamenda to do the elections, we had 3 candidates for the post of moderator. There was the outgoing senior clerk, moderator, one of them, and then there was one other Reverend Pastor, forgotten his name 10 years ago. And the first day was that they were to present their programs. And after presentation, 2 were retained, not by the Electoral Commission, because that was not our responsibility. The 2 were retained, and the 2, after voting, they presented their, and after they voted, we counted the votes, and the outgoing Senate clerk and Reverend Fonki, son of founder, they were the ones that were retained for the elections for the next day. And one of the documents we worked with was the Constitution. The Constitution of the PCC. They also gave us petitions. People have written against some people, and we got to work. Using the commission, the Constitution, and in legal mind, there was another legal mind, a lawyer, and we told them that we will apply the law. We'll apply the Constitution. Constitution is not just a mere paper; it's a document that must be respected, and that's where the problem was, because. Using the Constitution, we had to knock out a few persons who thought that they should stand. And they were not happy with us. They even wondered whether they should still continue with us. We told them that we had been put there for a job, and we would continue the job. On the day of the elections, the tension in the atmosphere, you could feel it. And so, we decided as the electoral body that only those who were competent to vote, to cast their vote, because it was not everybody. This was jam full, and that only those who were competent or who had to vote who came. And I had this unpleasant responsibility of sending everybody out and say, if you hear anything before you come in. That was my job. And I called and I called and I called. And at the end I said, if you don't hear anything, if you didn't hear anything, just wait. There were people who could not believe it that I would leave them out. I said that this decision was taken for the purposes of security and tranquility, because it was going to be problems. And The elections proper, we got into, we presented a candidate, we presented transparent boxes, we presented the ballot papers, everything was transparently done. At the end of which, Reverend Fonki, Samuel Foba, carried the day with the majority votes.
That was a joke of the year, the joke of that 2014, because even when I realized that I was nominated by my colleagues, and I was even first on the nomination list for the post of moderator, I still saw it as a joke. And in my prayers within that period, I would tell God, I don't like this kind of joke, God. Why are you joking with my emotions? This thing, there's a procedure. You go from smoke clerk to moderator. Why are you bringing me in? I said, well, of course, nomination is not the final election and voting. So I took it as a joke, and every step came to me as a joke.
I knew Reverend Fonki in the early 2000s. I was working in Bamenda, and I was worshiping at the PC upstation. He was the associate pastor of PC and Tamulu, and once in a while he used to come and preach to us at PC upstation. And that's when I knew him. And he was a young, vibrant, and knowledgeable pastor. And we always look forward to him coming up there to minister to us. Of course, I also attended lots of services and Tamulu for occasions, marriages, and the rest. And at times he was the preacher and the head of the, but he was running the liturgy too. Now, we almost moved to Douala at the same time because I was transferred to Douala. He was transferred from PC Tamulu and had a huge promotion. I think he became the president secretary, East Mungo South. That was huge. I was worshiping instead in Monaberi, but he, as the boss of the church within the region, where we were always meeting him, he was always coming to Monaberi, we would probably meet him in Bonamusedi, doing the same rallies and the rest. So we already saw a lot of him as a leader, a leader. And then he was a lot more spiritual, I mean, in the sense that he concentrated a lot on the spiritual growth of the Presbyterian Church, especially where he was the spiritual growth of the Presbytery. In 2014, I came to know Mr. Reverend Fonki somewhere, PC Bastos. What really marked me during that year was the preparation of the Lent period in 2014. He introduced the Daniel fasting. The Daniel fasting made some of us Christians to know what the spiritual upliftment of a Christian can be. We went through Daniel fasting, and I want to tell you at the end of that year, the Reverend Fonki, I did, became the Right Reverend Moderator of the PCC. And I also want to inform you, my dear brother, that same year, October 24th, after that fasting period, I was also promoted to the present position where I'm occupying. So I want to tell you that the Right Reverend Fonki Emmanuel, somewhere that he's at the helm of the PCC today is somebody that spiritually I hold high esteem. He prepared my spiritual life. I have progressively moved as a Christian of the PCC. He encouraged me. I joined the CML, and today I'm an elder in PCC Bastos.
When he was elected moderator, I want to say that as a grassroots leader, I gave him my total support to the new moderator. My relationship with the moderator was very, very warm and cordial. As I said, first I took over from him. And he left behind a very vibrant Bonamusari congregation and the Smogosa Presbytery. And it wasn't strange to me that he translated that same heart or that same spirit to the entire church. So when he took over, it was a turning point in the life of our church. So the years 2019, 2020, it was the beginning of a new era in the life of the PCC. So somebody now say that my relationship with him was very cordial. The Right Reverend Dr. Fonki Samuel Foba, evaluating him, he's quite a visionary leader. He's very, very proactive, and I must say that he's a very daring leader. Because if you look at the life of the church has grown spiritually, the church has grown materially, the church has grown financially, the church has grown structural wise. So in every component, PCC has experienced quite some growth.
Professionally, the pastor is always the pastor, both at home and in the office. But the moderator is a moderator in the office. When I say the pastor is the pastor at home, is because he still carries on his religious responsibilities as far as the family is concerned, making sure that we are spiritually upright through morning devotions, evening devotions, and prayers at home. Now, when it comes to administrative work, he really tries to separate it from family issues. Sometimes my colleagues are surprised when they're talking about something and I'm asking questions because I don't know. He really tries to make sure that the family does not interfere in his administrative functions.
The Right Reverend Dr. Fonki is a very practical man. I think some of his very strengths are his community-oriented life, man of the people, man of the grassroots, someone who can easily make a friend with anyone, someone who is never a stranger in a place. I think it is because of his friendship and fellowship with members of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, pastors in particular, that propelled him into this high office. And all our times we try to help him to change. We say, okay, now you're a moderator, you have to refine your comportment. But it became a bit difficult because he's a man who has come from the grassroots, a man of the crowd, somebody who's always wanting to be natural as possible. Unfortunately, sometimes trying to be himself has been misread. So he would like to play his drums, dance his country dance, and he can even sit on the floor if he wants to be your friend and if he wants to win you over in friendship. His time as moderator has been very, very productive. I think if you talk about the spiritual aspect, he's a very pragmatic pastor, always trying to give pragmatic answers to issues. He's not a man of the textbook. If something happens, he's a man of the spur of the moment. I think that is how that is seen much in his leadership. Always being pragmatic, being, trying to be proactive and trying to be creative. So this has influenced the way he has managed the church as a pastor.
Within the 10 years, despite the fact that the church was plagued by socio-economic and other environmental conditions, the Right Reverend Dr. Fonki stayed as a pastor of pastors and enabled the church to experience a horizontal and vertical growth. The membership of the church grew, and infrastructure-wise, projects were just sprouting here and there. And this cannot be outlinked with the spiritual growth of the church. Because when you feed the sheep or when you feed the flock spiritually, then they will respond. And their response will be by many more Christians coming to church, and then their giving spirit will increase because they have been fed spiritually.
You are great, yes, you are Holy One. Walked upon the sea, raised the dead. Reign in majesty, mighty God. is great. You are great. You are great. You are great.
He never believed in routine practices. He wanted us to think out of the box. In the education department, for instance, it was a miracle for me that during the crisis time, because it just took over and the crisis started 2 years later, he one day called me that we should go to Yaoundé. And from there, we went to a village 5 kilometers from Yaoundé to Fo. And we started entering the forest. And he then told me that that is what he wanted us to build a college. That was April 2017. And he told me that the college will start by that September 2017. I thought it was a joke. And believe me, 2018, September 29, the college started. And I was marveled by the way in which he did business and partnered with people so that we could realize a college when our schools in this part of the country were closing. The proliferation of hospitals in Fako division here, there are 3 hospitals that has never been thought of, and the recapitalization of telco and the press print and other things.
He has tried a lot. He's brought so many things. Look at, for example, the hospital at Senior. His hospital is, I think there's a trust fund something somewhere. Yes, and he has kept the PCC afloat despite the insecurity. You know how many times teachers have been caught, how many times the schools have been harassed, and so he's been able to handle the situation. And I think just for that, we should appreciate him. Just for that. He's done so many things, some which we cannot all outline here, but I think he has tried his best. Look at his new Senate office, which has been constructed under his regime. He'll be remembered for so many things, I think. And I think the next person coming up will only continue from where he has ended. Because I'm sure he still has other projects which might not have been finalized.
The health department has grown. You know, there are lots of our health structures all over the country, especially in the major towns. There are, again, in the level of, I think there's even an insurance company. The insurance company too is doing great. I will not forget about the printing press. The printing press, because I think government has done a lot to assist the church in those domains. So looking at it, you know, a church cannot survive without the finances. And when we already have a good, clear vision of how the church will continue to be sustainable, I think it's a good thing, and it's a good basis for whoever will continue. So I give him a very good pass mark for all of this, because it's not easy to be a leader, and a leader at a time when, you know, lots of people are a lot more aware of things, and they have to toe that all the time. You have to make sure that you don't go out of the norms.
Just the number of Christians now that we have in our PCC church. I will talk, for instance, in Bastos. If you see the number, we moved from 2,000 to, we are getting to maybe even more than 3,000 Christians now in Bastos. It shows the impact that he left, or he impacted, or he's impacting our Christians of the PCC. Besides the spiritual part of it, or even if I can move, still continue with the spiritual part of it, not only Bastos has witnessed that, the whole of PCC has witnessed spiritual growth, because as the Lent, the 40 days program was introduced, not only in PC Bastos was affected, but the way it was also carried out in all the other congregations of the PCC over the national territory. The church has also grown in size. We've gotten PCC churches in South Africa, we have in Europe, we have a lot of Presbyterian church that have opened congregations that are now operational in these countries and continents.
His leadership style has been very, very leadership style has been such that he respects his collaborators. He has the leadership style of working in a team. He's a leader who dedicated so much to me to sitting for him. And I think the church has grown tremendously in all aspects. What I want to say is that during his tenure in office, he has done everything to hold the church together so that we experience greater unity in the church. We experience quite some good solidarity between the clergy and the laity.
There's been a lot of education from the different departments, a lot of relevant teachings, spiritual materials, retreat manuals. They are in their numbers circulating in the church. And all this is part of his idea what the church should be. There have also been a lot of diaconal activities, social welfare activities, compassionate activities in the church, because he's an applied theologian, somebody who does applied theology. To him, a lot of the spirituality of the church should not just be about prayers, but meeting the human needs of the people. And you can see this in the different outreaches by the movements, the groups.
Human interactions whereas that sometimes people wish they were in some positions. And so people preempt and act and suggest things that they would have done if they were in those positions, and they ascribe it to the person that's there. So they can look at him and say, oh, he's doing this or he's doing that, because they are just assuming that if I were in that position, this is what I'll do and this is what I will do, which is necessarily not true. He also may have his own weaknesses as a human being, but largely, a lot of those accusations are baseless. As a member of the Board of Trustees, I was contacted that people are writing on social media. Have I seen more people are writing on social media about the moderator? I said, what are we doing on social media? The moderator is our number one personality. The senior clerk is the second. Should we allow our own business to be dragged in the mud in the social media? Social media knows where the Board of Trustees is. If they want to write with us, they'll write. They know the chairman of the Board of Trustees is in where. So we don't go on the social media. If they are sure of what they are saying, they should write to the Board of Trustees. Told me, moderator, that when you were being inducted, the ginger beer was a bed of roses. This is the trial moment, and you keep focusing on the cross of Christ and your conscience.
You are going through a period when everybody now has cell phone, everybody now has WhatsApp, Facebook, and the rest. I know what's happening. Unfortunately for us, we're in a society where fake news and wrong information circulates faster than what is true. People prefer to dwell more on the negative things and leave aside the very good ones. And of course, what I'm just trying to say is that social media has come with a lot of negativism within us, even among some Christians too. So, of course, he too must have suffered from all of us. Lots of people, especially in that position, will always suffer from things like that. But the short of it is that I think he's been a very successful child, and he should be proud of himself.
The Right Reverend Fonki is a human being like any other. Some of our own Christians, they want to make themselves look like saints. No. The Right Reverend Fonki Emmanuel is a human being. If he faltered somewhere, please, I think, to the best of my knowledge, you can call him like a brother and talk things out. It is not the social media that is going to solve any problem, because at the end of it all, social media or non-social media, people have to calm down, sit down, and talk things out.
As moderator, he did his best. He fought the good fight. And he may not have met the expectations of everybody, but I think he gave his all, because he really did not have time for himself. His life rotated between the church and the home.
He did his best. Not everybody can appreciate him, you should know that. He did his best, and that's enough. Our final judge is God, who sees the heart, who sees the intention of everybody. And one thing I loved him for, I love him so much for his sermons. I appreciate his sermons a lot. They're very practical and down to earth.
Just like, you when you give her your daughter for marriage, you shouldn't give her your daughter and still hold the rope. So you should release your daughter and then the rope. I just pray that things should be fine for them. It's the same thing. So she probably, the new people, just allow the new people do exactly what they're supposed to do. And of course, before we get in there, we just have to make sure that we respect the norms that go with transition, and that things, we should pray, continue praying that the transition should be very, very smooth.
Of the light.